I think it really starts with their front four, kind of like last week. Seems like every good defense has a good front four. They do a good job of making a lot of their coverages look the same and running out post snap to different coverages, bringing random pressures here and there, and do a good job, like I said, making everything look the same.
On film, what stood out most positively about your performance from Sunday?
I think anytime you play, the result of the game is going to influence how you feel walking off the field about how you played. I think that's kind of held true throughout my whole career, all the way back to like high school. It's never as good as you thought. It's never as bad as you thought. Walking off the field felt like I played terrible, and just I think part of that had to do with the loss. And there's definitely some things I can clean up. But then you watch the film, it's like, okay, I can see where there's definitely stuff I need to improve. I want to emphasize that, but there's some stuff to build on too, that I thought were some positives. I thought I played, when I did pull the trigger on throws, played accurate. Thought the operation in and out of the huddle was good. Then obviously a couple throws I want to have back, a couple scrambles. I think I could have just thrown the ball away on third downs, and it's you're going to punt either way, but just not taking sacks in those situations, I think it's good just for the morale of the sideline, not letting them just tee off. And so I think those would be kind of my main assessments of how it was.
Did you think you pulled the trigger enough, or do you think early on you might have helped a little bit? Or what was your?
I think early on there was some stuff where they weren't doing what we thought they were going to do. And so you're kind of taking a drop, thinking something's going to happen, or like, you're up to play and practice expecting a certain look, and then they give you something different. And so I thought for me, just as I take more and more reps in live situations, just having good eye discipline in my progressions was big. And then when the play's dead, like I think there were some where I'm holding on to it too long, trying to convert the 3rd and 9, convert the 3rd and 8, instead of just throwing it underneath to, Irv or somebody. And maybe the odds of them getting it from that position are not high, but the odds of me running around and doing a bunch of different stuff, like those are pretty low too. So just get the ball out quickly, give them a chance to maybe go get it, instead of holding on and trying to think I'm gonna throw this one, or I'm gonna make something happen and get the first. I think that's an area I can improve on.
How much different was it from the preseason games you had played in, and how was it different?
Yeah. I think I've always heard there's 3 different speeds. There's preseason, regular season, and playoffs. And so, I think the variety post snap and when a defense has a whole week to prepare for exactly what they want to do against you, there's some difficult looks post snap, and there was some times where, like I said, we got something called into a certain look. We're expecting something, we don't get that, and I need to do a good job of getting the ball out quickly to my check down or something underneath to give him a shot to go get it, instead of holding on and trying to make something happen, scrambling too much.
What would it mean to have Tee back this week?
Tee's one of the top receivers in the NFL. I don't think you can really put into words how important he is to this offense. I think we got a really good receiver room, and I don't want to take away from, I think Andre's continued to play really well. Trent Irwin has proven he can do it, but there's just something that Tee brings to the table, being as big, as fast, and having the experience he does, where it's always nice to have him and Jamar on the outside.
What about Zach's coaching style, as you've got to know him over the years, has really kind of maybe helped you, or what do you appreciate the most?
I feel like Zach is very steady. I think there's never really like crazy ups or downs. I never feel like he's super tense on the sideline. I think sometimes when you're the quarterback, if there's any of that in your head coach, you're going to be able to feel it a little bit. And I never get that feeling from him. And he's been very steady with me. I think my interactions with him early on were just him being brutally honest with me, whether I wanted to hear it or not, of, here's the situation, here's what it went into the evaluation. So there's a lot of, I would say, trust there. Just, he did cut me, but there was the way it was communicated. And I just think you'd be surprised how many times you're sitting in a locker room or something and something just going on doesn't make sense. And I feel like with him, there's very few times you're like, yeah, this doesn't make any sense. And so I think that kind of builds trust among your players. And I think just for me, it's just a calm voice on the sideline.
Zach has talked about this game being primetime opportunity to kind of change the narrative of the last 3 games. Do you feel like this is, for you personally, an opportunity to kind of show something different?
Yeah, I think it's an opportunity to go into a game where I've already been through a week as the starter. Just even like a Wednesday practice felt so much smoother today versus last week. You kind of, all right, what is this all going to look like? And I have a full week of that. And I think I also just keep going back to the fact that, a lot of whatever week this is, like, I think it's 12, 11. This is like week 2 for me, week 3. So that, early on in the season, everybody's getting a lot better. And then they kind of hit a certain point where they kind of plateau. Like I'm not at my plateau. And so for me, those practice reps are really important. Every rep in the game, getting a takeaway from it is really important, just continuing to get better. So as I keep stacking these starts and stacking these reps, I continue to improve.
One of the things you didn't have to worry about Sunday or in those preseason games was the crowd noise and going with the silent count. You did have to do that at Baltimore. How was that part of the operation?
It's pretty smooth. For me, it's just, I think sometimes timing stuff up can be hard, but that's something that I've done going all the way back to college. So it's not something completely new. I used to do the clap, and that was actually worse because you're just smacking your hands together for 4 quarters. It's not fun. So it's nice to just lift the leg.
Is there a bit of an advantage there where the alignment don't have to get used to a different cadence where you might sound different than Joe?
Yeah, I think part of your role as a backup is you got to make sure everything sounds the same to Joe. If I say something one way and Joe says it another, then it's kind of on me to adjust to how he does it. So I would say most of our stuff sounds the same just because I had to do that.
Is there a favorite part of the, we're going to watch the rivalry over the year? Do you have a favorite rivalry story?
I got a personal foul penalty for it, but we had the point on the, I think it was 2016. Played there, hadn't beat him in forever, and it was the first touchdown of the game. Pulled like a zone read and just, I don't remember who it was, but pointed at somebody and then went on to beat him like 70-21. And that was a good memory.
Was that a pre-planned thing or just kind of
No. No, it was like a out-of-body experience, I guess. But I haven't done it since. But I remember right after the game, my parents were there. My dad was there. He's like, "Thank God you guys won that, or you would have looked like an idiot." So that was. I think that's kind of made the rounds every time we go to play Oregon. It's kind of a photo that a lot of Husky fans post a lot and have T-shirts of and all a bunch of different stuff.
Will you allow yourself a few hours to watch that game Friday, or are you going to be nose deep in Jacksonville?
I think I'll watch it. I'll watch it. I think it's the fact that we play like an 8 p.m. kick. I'll stay up to watch it to kind of get myself on that sleep schedule. I'm usually kind of an early morning person, so force myself to stay up and watch it. But yeah, hopefully we get it done and be rooting for them.
Kind of talking about going from weeks 1 to 2 and getting better. How did the conversations change this week? As they got a feel for you in a live full game compared to what they were, where that was maybe a little bit more of an unknown. Is it much more helpful for you guys that way?
Yeah, I'm sure the coaches would have a similar answer, but I'm not exactly sure what goes into their thought process on game planning and stuff. But I know for me, when you're sitting in the quarterback room, you're kind of like, hey, do you like this or this more? Do you like this or this more? You kind of think but then once you're in a game and you kind of have that experience and you have your notes from that game, I feel more confident saying like I feel more comfortable with this versus last week. It's like, oh, I don't know. You've called more game, call what you think's going to work and we'll roll with that. And I think as we continue to get more games where I'm playing, it'll be like the offense will kind of morph into whatever we're doing well. And I think we've done that even when Joe, I've been on the sideline in meetings where we kind of morph the offense into like, okay, this is what we're good at right now and what gives us the best chance to win versus, maybe that's different than years past. And I think that changes even more so with a new quarterback.
Going back to the game on Friday, the locker rooms have been maybe the pros. Is there a favorite debt punishment you've heard for guys in rivalry games in the locker rooms?
Well, I don't think we're allowed to gamble in the locker rooms.
No, but just like college bets on like
No, not that I can think of. I know I haven't really actually played with that many people from Oregon, so there's not as much. I haven't really played with anybody from Wazoo either. So, and half those big games here, it's like 10 p.m. at night, so nobody really watches it. If anything, I've heard more about the Ohio State Michigan thing than anything else, and that's one where I'm like, I don't really watch it at all or do anything. I'm staying up late for Pac-12 games, I guess.